Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the homestead. I thought I would do a video talking about some of the things, the projects that we're looking forward to doing in this coming year, in 2021. Not so much a tour video, but there's not really a lot to see apart from white stuff. And yeah, just talk about some of the big and smaller projects that we hope to achieve in the next year, or maybe even the year after. But the first one is in here this year we want to get chickens initially for eggs, and well, there's no real plans for meat birds, but well, I say eggs is almost a bonus. What we would really like chickens for is for composting. It's part of their the natural way they live, in that they like to scratch around and peck and stuff like that, and that kind of action, when used properly, can make some really nice compost. So this area here will have an enclosure somewhere here. So I think the rough plan is some kind of enclosure here, and then there a coop. We'll probably only have, I don't know, 10-15 chickens to start with. We'll always leave some room for expansion, and then we'll have it enclosed here with a large area, with a kind of a workflow system where the compost, obviously it starts off as food scraps and wood chips and shavings and things like that, and then they scratch around, and there's bugs and insects and from the garden scraps and food scraps. There's obviously nutrition, and we'll try and produce as much of the food as we can here without buying too much seed and corn. I also like the idea of growing sprouts, perhaps some barley, and maybe look at larvae as well. But yeah, so you kind of put the food scraps in and the inputs, and then the chickens scratch it apart and they work it around, and then we'll probably have a U-shaped and then maybe a door here, an access door here where we can bring stuff in, take stuff out, but it'll all be behind a wire cage enclosure, so it's predator proof, and we'll have food and water inputs as well, so that it doesn't need too much management. We can go away and know that they're safe, secure, and they've got stuff to drink and to eat. And chickens are quite, in the right conditions, they're quite tolerant of cold weather. Today it's -3, I think. We'll have a look at the thermometer when we walk around, but we are expecting -14, I think, at the weekend, which is, that's centigrade. I don't know what's that, 7-8 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. But that's the plan here, outside the front of the barn. I should say my inspiration and ideas for this chicken composting system come from Sean and Sasha over in Edible Acres YouTube channel. I'll put a link up the top and then in the description. You really ought to check those guys out. They've really, I think they're very humble about it, but I think they've nailed this sort of chicken compost system, and are very, like I've said before, gracious in giving away, spending a lot of time making the videos and putting it onto YouTube for free. And so yeah, big thanks out to those guys. Check them out if you're not already following them. Be interesting to see how things compare in the next year. I do need to address the way we compost. Initially I wanted to move this compost area here because it's too close to the bees, and I think last year, or was it the year before, I got stung a couple of times, but we don't want to move it too far away, because when we have our chicken composting system going, we need to collate it somewhere. Still got all this firewood to chop. We've got a load of leaf mould compost that we're making this year as well. Not too many other projects here on this side. If we walk now over to the greenhouse, I think, and then the main house. Obviously we're very firewood reliant. You can see all the firewood hopefully on the side of the barn there, and then there's the same amount on the other side as well. We need to bring that closer to the home, and we need to think about that, how we do that. I understand in years gone by there was a large firewood store outside, and it actually burnt down. I think we found some old photos at the weekend and with that in, so maybe I'll try and flash that up here and you can see it. But I'll talk a bit more about firewood in a bit. If we just go down to the greenhouse, one of the things I'd really like to have a go is using compost as heating. Now and extending the growing months, the shoulder months, by utilising the greenhouse better. Traditionally, years gone by here, it's just been used for tomatoes. You can see even now I've got some lettuces, some red pak choi, which are kind of they're surviving. But I've got some red Russian kale that is germinated successfully. There is, I think here, there was. Some tiny spinach that sprouted. This is an experiment really, and there's some red Russian kale which are very tiny, and they're exactly the same size almost as when I put them in. I'm not expecting them to grow because of the light, but they should come to life as the days extend now. But what I'd really love to do here, light we can't do anything about really, but we can do something about heat, and I'd love to build in this corner a large heat compost mound with some serious nitrogen inputs to get some heat going. I've been the Jean Pain method I've watched for a couple of years, been researching that, and then mothing over at My Family Garden in the UK does it quite successfully as well. I know it's not quite as cold over there, but it certainly should. If we can get some heat coming into here sort of early March, that will help us extend the season and put some stuff out here. We don't have to worry about wouldn't have to worry too much then about frost maybe. Certainly we could do some put stuff on top of the put seedlings on top of the compost mound so the heat from there will protect it. I mean, it would be quite big, be pallet size. Got lots of inputs around here. Wood chips we've got loads of, as you know. We have got access to cow manure down the road, so that's no problem. Garden scraps, whatever. As I know, did garlic. Fast asleep. Let's go up to the house. So they're kind of garden orientated projects. We've got some house projects we want to achieve as well. We've got the front steps, which probably need a rebuild. This is actually the side entrance of the house, although it's always thought it was the main entrance. It's the side entrance. The main entrance is around here. This is south facing. And we hope here this year to build a terrace, so probably about 3 metres out and then 6 metres of width, 3 metres that way, about up to the window, and 3 metres this way. A nice big terrace, I don't know, about so far off the ground. It slopes down a bit here, and that door's going to be replaced. We're looking into that in the moment. So we can sit in the evenings here and look over the lake and the view over there and this sort of park area, so that would be nice. I've got a SketchUp plan that I've kind of done for that. I'll try and show that if I can here. You know, we've got a lot of maintenance to do to the outside of the house as well. you see in other videos there's barrels here for our water system, and I'd like to look at that, more efficient ways of managing the water, maybe having it pumped around. Maybe that's for a project for the year after. Said I'd look at the temperature, didn't I? Where are we? -3, isn't it? Yeah, -3. Like I said. So, firewood. We need to review and bring firewood closer to the house so that we don't have to go so far when it's like this, or even colder in February. You know, if it goes down to -25, -30 degrees centigrade, you don't want to be going too far to get your firewood. I built this little thing specifically for one type of firewood, which is a thin, long type of firewood which goes in one fire in the house. And, you know, that's fine for that. That's not going to help our needs throughout the whole winter. So perhaps along here, the north face of the property, we can look at building firewood racks here and store more against the house, so it's a simple walk out and round. We're unlikely to grow much around here anyway, so we ought to utilise that space better. That's something you can look at, and that's not particularly a big big project. Going over towards the garden, which you're familiar with from other videos. This area, that's one thing we've got to do. We will be doing that very soon, I think, is these Christmas trees need to come down. We have been working on this kind of line of trees here to clear it a bit, thin it out so that more light comes down into the garden. We had a problem last year with too much shade. We've done a lot of thinning out. These five spruce trees will come down. The greens will be shredded and composted, and I'm hoping with the tree trunks we'll be able to use them for some projects. A nice bit of spruce. I've not really thought what yet. Perhaps if the bark is stripped off, they'll make some nice struts, or decorative struts, maybe for the terracing around the other side, or used perhaps for the chicken enclosure. I like the idea of using our own timber for projects, certainly when we think about more things like permaculture. So one of the big projects here I'd like to do is build a large composting area with 3 or 4 bays here and perhaps a roof. This is where we need all the compost really in our this kind of market garden style garden. You've seen the other videos, you know the setup. It uses a lot of compost, so we need it there. There's that thinning out, you can see. It was 2 or 3 trees thick, and we thinned it down to sort of 1 or 2, so it will let a lot more light through. If you've seen Charles Dowding's video or Josh Satin, you'll see the sort of compost bay area set up. You sort of have 1 or 2 cubic meters bays, and then you move it down each 3 or 4 months, or a couple of months depending on how quick it composts. And when it gets to the end, it's kind of ready. But that would be more helpful to have here. That's the sort of project I'd like to do here. So there's a quick video, well, not too quick, about some of the projects that we've got coming up next year. So other things will come up. We need to put a new roof on the little well and things like that, just little day projects, but they're perhaps some of the bigger ones. And thanks for watching our videos, thanks for subscribing. I'm really chuffed about how many people have got interested in what we're doing here, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Bye for now.